and turn it over to Jody O'Connor. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. And a big shout out to Tiffany and all my friends at PTAC that help me when I do these presentations to be sure that they go as smoothly as possible for our participants and presenters. Right at the moment, Tiffany, we still have the poll up. If we take that out, see the first slide when you get a chance.
You can go ahead and close it. It's only on you. So go ahead and close it.
Great. Thank you. That's why I have Tiffany here. One example of why. So thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time. I know everyone is awfully busy with successes and bidding and everything you do. And for you to take the time to spend with us as we do another one of our Meet the Buyer events. This one in particular, doing business with Washington State Department of Transportation. We work closely with the State of Transportation. There are so many opportunities, and some people that come in to work with PTAC aren't real sure how they might get the foot in the door. So we greatly appreciate the presenters that are here with us. Also want to say thank you to our sponsors, Washington River Protection Solutions, who helps to bring this Meet the Buyer event to you at no cost, and consistent service and support from them here in the Tri-Cities and beyond. Next slide, please. Just a quick rundown on PTAC and what we do. Our main goal is to increase the number of very highly capable Washington State companies to participate in the government marketplace. There are numerous levels of government that one can get involved with when they're a small business wanting to get involved, whether it be local, state, all the way up to high-level military and NASA. We provide no-cost one-on-one counseling to our clients. We have workshops and webinars, such as what we have today. We can help you locate bids, interpret the solicitations if you're fairly new at it. We're also registering and getting certifications for small businesses that qualify in some specific areas. Assist with your marketing and getting your capability statements prepared, post-award assistance, and of course our bid match service that helps bring solicitations direct to you through email. And I'm more than happy to speak with any of you about that and how that might work. Next, please. Just a brief idea of the different regions that our PTAC counselors here cover. The area in gold, Region 8 is mine in Southeast and Central Washington. And PTAC counselors throughout the state and those other regions, we're in contact every day to talk to each other about what our clients are doing. If they'd like to reach out in other areas outside our region, we provide those connections and any kind of support that one is looking for. In case you want to look outside just the South Central, there are opportunities throughout the state, and we'll learn more about those today with DOT. Next, please. Just a reminder, we will be sharing this slide deck with you. So if you're interested in speaking with someone from a region outside mine, anywhere throughout the state, their contact information is on this slide. And if you need some additional guidance and how to introduce yourself to them, or you want an introduction, feel free to contact me at any time and I can help with that as well. Next. A couple of upcoming events are important I wanted to share with you. Our Alliance Northwest Business to Government Conference will be taking place March 11th, a week from today, from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. It will be a virtual event this year, and the registration information is here for all of you. And I believe Tiffany's also sharing it in the chat box if you'd like to take a look at that and save that. And on the 16th of March, I'll have another one of my procurement power hours, this one focusing on the women-owned and economically disadvantaged women-owned small business federal contracting programs. There have been some changes in the past year and a half, and I'm happy to help you understand and look towards certification if you haven't done so already. Registration on our PTAC website, or you can contact me directly by email or phone. Next. Today we'll be having just an exceptional presentation from Washington State DOT. We have presenters at really every level, from procurement all the way up to the top Secretary of Transportation. I think are really fortunate in this case to have so many different levels of expertise so that you can listen and learn from each of those, as well as find out how to contact them if you have further questions. Next for us. To begin with, we will have opening remarks from Roger Millar, Secretary of Transportation for the Washington State DOT, and followed by comments by the Director of DOT, Earl Key. So now I'll turn it over to Roger Millar. Roger, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me to join you. It's really an honor to be here and to have our team here to work with you. We, as an agency, are providing a return on the investment that Washington taxpayers make in us, Washington families and Washington businesses. That investment includes access to our economy. Our economy runs on our transportation system. That's over $500 billion a year and 1.4 million jobs. We provide access to quality of life, to work, to play, to school, to shopping, and we provide access to opportunity. And that's one of the things we're going to spend a lot of time talking about today. Our strategic plan has 3 goal areas: workforce development. If we don't have a workforce, we can't deliver. A thing we call practical solutions, which is our approach to program and project development. And the third goal area, and we'll be talking about that more as the panelists discuss what we do, is inclusion. Inclusion, and that's justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, is very important to us at WSDOT. We've been working on having an inclusive workforce. The members of our team know that they're listened to and understood, and we're responsive to their needs and their good ideas. And a lot of what you're going to see today is people on our team's good ideas made whole through presentations like this. We're committed to a diverse workforce. We want our agency to look like the people we work for. And so since I've been secretary, our hiring practices are such that we are bringing more people of color and more women into the workforce, reflecting the diverse nature and the changing nature of Washington state demographics. We're diversifying our business spend, and you'll hear a lot about that today. We do a lot of business in Washington state. We do a lot of business with disadvantaged businesses on our federal contracts and increasingly on our state funded work. We've taken some great strides in the last several years, and you'll learn about those as well. We're creating opportunity on our construction contracts for young men and women to enter the construction workforce. It's important to us that people of color and women are a part of the construction workforce because they're good paying jobs with benefits and the like. And it also gives people the skills they need if they decide to become a little more entrepreneurial and get into business. We require that 15% of the hours on our contracts be performed by apprentices. And if you look at our apprentices over the last few years, 44% of them are women and people of color. So we're helping to diversify the construction trades. And lastly, we're committed to inclusive and meaningful community engagement around the state of Washington. One size does not fit all. And if there's anything I've learned in my career is if you don't do things with people, they assume you're doing it to them. And you create that kind of situation, you really get what you deserve. So today's event helps to demonstrate our commitment to inclusion, equity, diversity, involving everyone in this opportunity that is the Washington State DOT. I'd like to thank everyone who made today possible, the Washington PTAC, the Tri-County Regional Chamber of Commerce, and to all of you participants that are here. I hope you gained some valuable insights from your participation, and I'm going to turn it over to my team to get into more detail. So thanks again.
Thank you, Roger. I believe we'll have some introductory comments now from Earl Key, Director.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Earl Key. I'm the Director of the Office of Equal Opportunity at WSDOT. I think the Secretary pretty much said it all. I just would like to say that I'm very pleased to be here, and I'd like to thank Jody, Yolanda, the panelists, the sponsors, and everyone else that is involved in this. This is an important goal for us at WSDOT to expand the businesses that do business with us. I would just like to add, we have some resources. Diane Gard, I see, is in the meeting, and she runs our Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Supportive Services. So we do have some resources, and she is very available. Just give us a call if you have any questions, any follow-up after this, or to inquire about what types of resources we offer. And I look forward to this. And again, thank everybody that put this together. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you, Earl. And the next slide, please. Now I'd like to open the conversation to Yolanda Brooks, who's going to help us understand who's here and how they're going to help us out. Yolanda?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Yolanda Brooks, excuse me, and I am the community engagement specialist with the Washington State Department of Transportation Office of Equal Opportunity. This morning, we have great presenters. Our first presenter is going to be Alberto Valentin. He's our Community Engagement and Environmental Justice Manager. Then we'll have Diane Gard, who is over our DBE Support Services. Then we'll have Rosa Covarrubias, who's with our DBE program. She's going to be speaking on the DCMS, the B2G program. Then we have Jenna Fedek. She's the Contract Ad and Award Manager. Then we have Renee Cheney, who's the Procurement Supervisor here at headquarters in Olympia. But we also have Rita Swart, who's the Procurement Specialist in the South Central region. And we also have with us today, Brian White, who is the Assistant Regional Administrator for Construction and Development in the South Central region. Next slide, please. And please, we are requesting that you post any questions in the chat. Questions will be answered at the end of all of the panelists' presentations. Next slide. And I'm turning it over to Alberto Valentin. He has 5 minutes to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Yolanda. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alberto Valentin. I'm Washington State Department of Transportation, Environmental Justice, and Community Engagement Manager of the Office of Equal Opportunity. Today, we are going to very briefly see the differences between Title VI and environmental justice and the importance of these programs to eradicate the systematic discrimination in our systems against minorities and low-income and other vulnerable communities. First slide, please. Thank you. The Title VI of the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin in programs receiving federal financial assistance. Therefore, programs and entities recipients of federal financial assistance from federal agencies need to provide all communities with equal accesses to these programs. However, Title VI does not include low-income and minority populations. These are social conditions. In 1994, was approved the Executive Order 12898, extending the environmental justice protections as a component of Title VI. This executive order requires that programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance need to avoid, minimize, or mitigate disproportionately high and adverse human health and environmental effects, including social and economic effects on minority populations and low-income populations. Let's go to the next slide, please. Yeah. So let's see now the similarities between Title VI and environmental justice. We can see that environmental justice is a component of Title VI. Both Title VI and environmental justice protect minorities. Under both, agencies shall translate crucial public documents and ensure they are accessible to the public. Title VI was extended to people with limited English proficiency people. As a public agency, we are responsible to ensure that all people with limited English proficiency can have access to crucial documents or public notices or any posts that we have. Ensure meaningful public participation in transportation decision making, preventing, minimizing, mitigating, or correcting high and adverse impacts from transportation activities, and both apply to all planning and project development policies. From all these similarities between Title VI and environmental justice, I would say the most important is the public involvement, the community engagement, how we involve these vulnerable communities, these minorities in the decision-making processes. The importance of this is that we bring diversity to the decision-making processes so our plans and our future projects can reflect the necessities and the struggles of these communities. Next slide, please. So let's see the differences between Title VI and environmental justice. A Title VI analysis may not necessarily satisfy environmental justice requirements. Title VI protects minorities from discrimination, and EJ protects population from health and environmental effects. Title VI prohibits discrimination by law. EJ is through an executive order and administrative regulations that we have. Title VI do not include low income and minority populations, which are social conditions. Environmental justice does not create legal rights enforceable by a party against the United States like Title VI does. For that reason, an individual cannot submit a complaint against a discrimination based on environmental justice right now. Complaints must be submitted on the Title VI. However, many types of Title VI cases involve environmental justice issues and could be resolved through administrative complaint processes as well. Next slide, please. So in summary, Title VI and environmental justice are mandate a process of fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people regardless of their being a race, color, national origin, income, and minority populations. Next slide, please. Okay, so agencies should recognize that the impacts which minority or low-income population may be different from the impacts on the general populations. This is cultural competence. I can compare the necessities or struggles from general or wealthier populations with the necessities or the struggles of the minorities, Black community, tribes, or limited English proficiency people. So that's why it's so important to demonstrate, or public agencies demonstrate, if we are doing a future project or we are doing plans, how these plans affect these minorities population or these vulnerable populations in particular. So agencies are supposed to determine if their future projects will cause any disproportionately high and adverse human health or environmental impact over a low-income population, minorities, or Indian tribe. Then, if a disproportionately high and adverse human health or environmental effect on a low-income population, minority population, or Indian tribe has been identified over future projects or planning, agencies like us should analyze how environmental and health effects are distributed within these affected communities. So for that, it's important to realize or doing environmental justice analysis and using demographic tools to understand if our future projects and our plans in some way are affecting these populations. These are the factors to consider, and these are the strategies to reduce the effects of possible impacts of our future projects. Next slide, please. So it is hard for many people to understand or to see how public services like transportation, for example, discriminate against minorities or vulnerable communities. Let's see some examples of systematic discrimination in transportation, not only in Washington, but in nationwide. A study reflects that low-income and Black people have not held positions on planning and zoning commissions, city councils, and similar boards in any significant numbers, and also have participated in public hearings and planning forums in relatively low numbers. Also, land use decision makers tend to be white mates, middle-aged or older in comparison to other populations and gender. Again, the importance of the community engagement and the public outreach that programs like Title VI and environmental justice try to do, it's to bring diversity to the table of decision-making processes. Try to engage with these communities, with their struggle, with their necessity, with their specific necessities in transportation activities. Studies reflect that minority communities' lack of sidewalks, bike lanes, and crosswalk is one of the several environmental justice issues related to transportation planning and infrastructure. These conditions pose safety hazards and discourage healthy activities like walking and biking to these communities. Many decisions in United States history have been made without a real intention of discrimination. Implicit racism is everywhere, and it's based on the utilization of unconscious bias when making judgment about people from different racial, cultural, and ethnic groups. A study reflects that implicit racism is an automatic negative reaction to someone of a different culture. This is why it's so important to bring not only other minority, other vulnerable communities to the decision-making process, to public outreach and do community engagement, but also educate ourselves in cultural competence. It is very hard for a person that has no relation with or education in cultural competence, which is the necessities and the struggle of other cultures, to understand the necessity of these populations. So it is important for public agencies to educate and train their public employees in cultural competence to understand the necessities of this population and how we can improve their quality of life. We need to enforce environmental justice compliance through amplify Black, minorities, and low-income voices in the decision-making processes of the transportation field, improve the community engagement and public outreach efforts, give these communities an active role and participation during the development of transportation department general plans. For last, another evidence of transportation disparities, environmental injustice, and systematic racism is the prevalence of highways in, through, and around low-income neighborhoods. That has resulted in highlight exposure to air pollutants. Air quality hotspots often exist in neighborhoods closest to freeways, and inner city children experience disproportionate incident to asthma. So to sum up, environmental justice initiative and programs in the federal compliance level right now try to demonstrate and collect data of how transportation projects are affecting these minority population or low-income population, and how in that process of planning and that process of scoping a project, we can bring them to the table to understand how we can improve their quality of life and how we can eradicate the burden of their disproportionate effects of our transportation activities.
And Alberto, we really appreciate your presence.
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay.
I finished. I'm sorry if I extended. Sorry. That's
No.
all. Thank you, Yolanda.
No, thank you, Alberto. It was a great presentation. Diane? It is 5 minutes.
Alberto, that was a great presentation. I could listen to you all day. So yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you, Jody. And thank you, Tiffany, for having us here today. Special shout out to the Tri-Cities. I grew up in Pasco, Washington, graduated from high school there when there was one high school. I just wanted to put a shout out. Anyway, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to share with you some no cost benefits to DBEs that are in our state. And a DBE is a disadvantaged business enterprise. And then I'll also be touching a little bit on the Small Veterans Enforceable Goal Program, which has changed a bit, and what we refer to as going into the second step of our diversity roadmap. Next slide, please. And thank you to Rosa. She actually put my slide deck into Spanish. So thank you very much for that. So that's what you're going to be seeing here. So again, Guard, I work for the Washington State Department of Transportation in the Office of Equal Opportunity. And I want to say that it is a great job. We have wonderful people doing wonderful things. So again, happy to be here. Next slide, please. Again, no cost services, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those. And it is related to transportation work. So just keep that in mind. Next slide, please. All right, so services that are available initially. So what is it? It's services provided by our Office of Equal Opportunity, and they are at no cost, again, to our disadvantaged business enterprises wishing to work with WSDOT and local agency highway related projects. They are delivered through our office. We have hired an administrator to sort of divvy up. It's sort of a, what do I want to say? It's a conflict of interest for us to do so. So we have hired an outside administrator to do so. The good news is that we have received more funding as of late. And then we are onboarding a lot more consultants who specialize in areas that we are able to give help with, such as accounting and marketing. And again, those services are available to DBE certified in the highway construction industry, which can include construction companies, consultants, regular dealers, and manufacturers. So if you are interested and are not certified as a DBE, please reach out to me and we can get you going on that. There is an outside office that deals with certification, and that is through the Office of Minority and Women's Business Enterprises, also known as OMWBE. Again, there's a lot of acronyms throughout all of what we're telling you today, so I'm happy that you're getting this slide deck. And I've provided these slides that we're looking over. I've provided some handouts, and within those handouts, there's our links to anything I might be referencing as well. So, and again, our contact information is on all of these, so please reach out should you have any questions. And one of the focuses that we do with this program is to make sure that a small business or the DBE has their business development plan sort of tight and ready to go. A lot of times people don't know what they're doing, and we want to make sure that they have when I say they don't know what they're doing, I mean a plan. Let's say that you're in an elevator speech. This is what I like to say. Let's say you're meeting someone for the first time, happens to be a prime contractor. I love the idea that 7 minutes can change your life, and I believe that a conversation certainly can. So I always want to encourage firms to make sure that if they are meeting anyone, just to make sure that they have their business plan or a snapshot or a elevator speech sort of to sell themselves to folks that might be interested in allowing them an opportunity for work, because we do know that there is a lot out there. But again, these programs, these services, we help you connect folks. I know Jody was saying that at the top of this whole presentation. We also help with accounting practices, things such as bid preparation, change order assistance. I mentioned the business plan. We help create and develop that. We can also assist you with information technology support, not to be confused with us allowing for software purchasing. I want to be clear with that. We're not allowed to do so. Because it is federal funding, we do have certain guidelines, so that's one of them. But we can certainly show a business how to utilize let's say a piece of software for their booking and back office needs. We also help with workflow management. So the good news is that when a firm comes in, the process is that they click on a link that I can certainly give to you. And what we do is that it goes to our administrator who administrates the program. Then you fill out an assessment. They triage to make sure what the firm needs. And then we go from there. Next slide, please. All right, I think this is the best news of the day, in my opinion. I'm very happy to report that our veteran-owned businesses certification and utilization of said firms has changed a bit. So what is going on? I'm happy to share that if you are now Pardon me, it's early. My coffee is kicking in. So the Washington State Department of Transportation will have a 5% veteran enforceable goal utilization on upcoming state-funded transportation projects. Again, I repeat, the Washington State Department of Transportation will have a 5% veteran enforceable goal utilization on upcoming state-funded transportation projects. So what this means is prime contractors will need to assure that 5% of work will be awarded to our veteran-owned businesses. Again, very good news. There is a flyer that I have given to Tiffany and Jody that they can give to you. And it will give you the links so that you can be sure to know where to go to get certified. And again, any certified veteran-owned business that meets the needs of the project, you must be able to provide proof of your honorable discharge, also known as your DD 214, and that you are 51% owner of your business. Next link or next slide, please. Yep, and that's it. It's very brief, but I know that we have a lot of information to go over today. And again, I am available to answer any questions at the end of this and certainly after all of our presentations. So with that, I am done. And again, thanks all for being here.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here at our training or this presentation. My name is Rosa Covarrubias. Like Yolanda mentioned, I am a program specialist for Office of Equal Opportunities, and I will be focusing on DMCS today, Diversity Management Compliance System. It's a long name, but I will refer to it as DMCS. I work out of South Central region, so here in Yakima and Tri-Cities area. So if you are doing business in the state, in this region, then it's probably, if you have issues with DMCS, who you would contact. Next slide. Oh, I just said all that. Next slide. So we'll start with some of the features and benefits of DMCS. So it allows for online reporting of all subcontractors. You can see them all at one time, which is useful for us as a staff to monitor. It also allows a sub to verify payments. So in the past, WSDOT only got to see what the prime contract reported, but now the sub has a chance to say, yes, this is correct, or no, it's not. It also allows to see certified contractors, so which is kind of what you've heard about earlier from both Diana and Alberto about DBEs or disadvantaged business enterprises, and how we can, there's a special designation in DMCS that shows them as such, and so you can easily see them and monitor that. Next slide. Speaking of those designations, like I mentioned, we monitor minority, small, veteran, and women's goals. And like Diane mentioned, sometimes the state requires mandatory goals on federal and now maybe even state jobs. And so it's a good way to see in real time if they're meeting their goals or if they're lagging behind. And if they are, we can intervene or at least follow up as needed. The DMCS also allows for a reduction of the disparity cost. And lastly, it allows the contractor, prime contractor, to manage their own account. So if they need to add a new user or if they need to update an address or an email, they can do that on their own account. So it's a good tool for them to have. Next slide. So this is what it looks like when you log in. It is logged as password protected. So each of the contractors does have a username and a password to log in. And in the system, it allows you to view training and manuals if you need additional help to do an audit or report payments, or if you have issues. You can also contact WSDOT directly. The contact support button is on there, and you can get hold of me as a compliance officer or somebody else in the state that does the same kind of work as myself. You can also contact, if you're having technical issues with the program itself, you can contact DMCS directly and they can help you. They have a help desk. And you, like I mentioned before, the contractor can also use a forget password if they need to reset it, or do something to update their account, or look up another vendor if you're trying to find somebody that does the work that you're looking for. So it's a good place to get that information. Next slide. So this is a screenshot of what the DMCS looks like, and I won't go into much detail, but this is what the prime sees, and there's the subs tab, and then they go to add to subcontractor, and most of the subcontractors that do work in this region already are already as vendor in the system. So it's as easy as just searching for the vendor and adding them to your contract. If for whatever reason they're not listed, there's a way to add a new vendor in the program. Like I mentioned before, the designations, if you see where it says construction ahead at the bottom under subcontractors, it has a designation as a DBE. And so that's what I mean, that it shows it on there. And so you can track it easily and see which of your DBE businesses, how much they've gotten paid and if you're meeting the goal or not. Like I mentioned, also, there's also training classes and more manuals listed inside DMCS. On the left panel, you see under contact support, there's training classes and manuals you can reach very easily to do compliance audits or report payments. Next slide. So this is kind of like the overall process, and it's like I mentioned, a big picture view of what we do. But the payment, WSDOT pays a contractor, the contractor gets a notification, and then the contractor is responsible to report payments to their subcontractors in that audit month. And then the subcontractor will then get notified by email or fax that they've been paid, or a payment has been reported to them, and then they can go and confirm or reject the payment. If they confirm the payment, and then the compliance audit is considered complete, and they can wait till the next month till they get another notification. But if it's rejected, then this creates a discrepancy. The prime knows that the sub didn't agree with what they reported, and so they're both on notice that there's a disagreement of payment or an issue with the payment. And then during this whole time, staff like myself get to view this and then follow up as needed. Next slide. So this is a screenshot of what the prime contractor sees. They report a payment, and then they're allowed to put details like invoice number, check number, attach a file if need be, and then comments and these comments are visible between the prime and the compliance officer like myself, and then we can follow up if there's any issues or if they need any additional assistance. Next slide. Likewise, the subcontractor has their view when they get notification that they got paid. This is what it looks like, and then they can either choose this is correct or incorrect, and then if this payment is the last one, they can mark this as final payment. If not, they can say this work continues, and they'll continue to get notifications, and then they can also report any withholding of retainage that the prime is doing. So it helps us track retainage as well. Next slide. That's pretty much at the end of my presentation. This is more information about where you can get the materials, or if you need more training, there's an email directly to our DMCS person we have an HQ, and also, like I mentioned, there's training compliance on the diversity compliance website. Lastly, I just wanted to say that if you do business in this region, then you can always contact me as a compliance officer if you have questions about DMCS or an issue. But there's also counterparts in each part of the state that do the same work that I do. So there's always somebody you can contact if you need help. Thank you and have a good day.
Hi, my name is Jenna Fedig, she, her pronouns. I am the Contract Ad and Award Manager for the Washington State Department of Transportation. And thank you everyone for being here today. It's great to see that some folks here have already done business with the Washington State DOT, but it's also really great to see some folks here who are totally new to this, so welcome. Next slide, please. Next slide. So today I'm going to be speaking to getting involved in public works contracts with the Washington State Department of Transportation. These are some of the types of work that we're talking about. This is kind of the bread and butter of what we do: highways, bridges, marine projects, rail, tunnels, ferry terminals. So if you're seeing any work up here that is work you're involved in, I think you're in the right place, definitely. And these are the opportunities that we have available all the time. Next slide. So there's a lot of different roles for those who are interested in doing business with us on our public works contracts. We have the prime contractor role. That is the role where you contract directly with us to construct a construction project. Same with the design builder role, although those contractors are also doing design work. Then we have subcontractors who contract with a prime contractor or a design builder, suppliers, vendors, manufacturers, designers, consultants, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some other roles. Next slide, please. So what I really want everyone to get out of today's presentation is that doing business with the Washington State Department of Transportation, there are no secrets. It's all just right out here on our website. If you're new to doing business with the Washington State Department of Transportation, we have this page, wsdot.wa.gov/business, and all the different contracting areas are linked to from this page. So what I'm going to be talking about today is contract add and award, which is bidding on a public works contract. But later on in today's presentation, you'll be hearing from other areas that are also a part of this business page. Next slide, please. So what I'm talking about right now is just contract add and award, bid on a public works contract. So let's go ahead and next slide. Yes. So this is the contract add and award website. Everything you need to know to get started is going to be right here. And I'm just going to briefly go down what these options are from this page. Next slide. So the first link on our page is the call for bids. These are basically advertisements for projects that we need contractors to construct. We have a massive program in front of us, and we can't complete our work without your help. So we're really looking for, new business partners to help us complete this work. Next slide. For our prime contractor role, we do require pre-qualification, but we have applications and information on our website. And if you have additional questions about that, feel free to give us a call. We are here to assist you. Next slide. We also have a small works roster, which is like a limited pre-qualification process. We don't require as much paperwork from you. And then you are able to bid projects estimated at up to $350,000 or less. And the great thing about this is that only people on the roster receive the notifications for these projects. So you're not competing with as many contractors. Next slide. And then the bulk of information about projects that we are looking for partners on is going to be on our project information page. The third link down on our website, currently advertised and awarded contracts. On this page, you'll find all the information about our current contracts. You can find plans and specs, plan holders lists, so that you can reach out to people who might be submitting a bid as a prime contractor, or see what contractors might be interested in playing a subcontractor role in the project. You can also find addenda and questions and answers that have been submitted for the project, and contact information for the project engineer. Next slide. We also have information on our webpage about electronic bidding, which is something that's available to our contractors so that you don't have to fly over here from wherever you may be located on the other side of the state to submit your bid. Next slide. And then after the bids have been open for a project that you were interested in participating, we post all the bid results on our website. So for example, if you're a DBE contractor who's quoted to a prime contractor, you can see whether or not they have listed you to participate in the project by looking at our bid opening results website. We list the subcontractors that are required to be listed by law, the DBE contractors for projects, and then of course the bid amounts. Next slide. And we also post a bid tabulation for all of our projects after the bid opening. And that just shows each contractor's bid item by item. So it's very detailed. Next slide. Then we also have information about design build contracts. This is an area that I want to emphasize has a lot of opportunities for all kinds of different roles. Consulting work, design work, vendors, manufacturers. Each one of these projects is kind of a standalone item. They have kind of an extended procurement time, and so you can sign up for updates to receive notifications about any of these projects that may interest you. Next slide. And if you're interested in what's coming up in the future, we have a area on our website where you can find upcoming contracts. This is available in an Excel spreadsheet or a PDF file. Next slide. And then in addition to that, we also post alerts and bulletins to contractors. We have forms available. We have a unit bid analysis tool that allows you to look up recent prices received on different contract items. And then of course we have our contract specifications, amendments, and general special provisions. Next slide. So I know I went through that fairly quickly, but we try to make everything available for you on our website. If you'd like me to walk you through that, or if you have any questions about it, I've provided our contact information, my contact information, the information for our pre-qualification analyst, as well as our main office line. And that's it for me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jenna. We have Renee next.
Hello, like Diane, I'm also a Tri-Cities native. I moved to Olympia in 2015 when I took the position as a procurement supply specialist at the headquarters building. And my co-presenter is Rita Swart, and she's the WSDOT procurement specialist at our Union Gap office. Next slide. So our purchasing and materials management teams are guided by our CW 3926, which is the procurement of goods and services. And this includes any IT products and services. WSDOT reports to the Department of Enterprise Services, and they assist agencies by managing contracts for all state agencies. But we're going to go into how WSDOT handles their own contracts and purchasing. Next slide. So WSDOT's comprised of 6 regions, as seen on the map, and 2 entities, which include headquarters and Washington State Ferries. Each region has a procurement office, and these offices are located in Washington, or of course Washington, but Spokane, Wenatchee, Seattle, Olympia, Vancouver, and Union Gap. I have provided both Rita and my contact information on this slide. However, we do have a brochure on our WSDOT public website that lists all our regional contacts for the procurement offices. For vendors that sell products and services specifically for IT, roadway materials, or automotive, on the brochure, there's specific contacts for these specialties. And I can share that brochure with Tiffany so she can send it out to all of you guys. Next slide.
Good morning, I'm Rita Swart. I'm with the South Central region here in Union Gap. And we have many different facets to DOT. As you can see, we have engineering, financial services, human resources, IT, maintenance, materials lab, traffic, and GIS. And each of our DOT regions are compiled of these teams, with the exception of aviation, rail, ferries. And our mission is to provide safe, reliable, and cost-effective transportation options to improve communities and economic vitality for people and businesses. And to achieve our mission, it takes many goods and services, from office supplies, IT equipment, asphalt, snow and ice materials. Next slide. Let's see. our DES master contracts, we have to purchase from them, and you have to go into the DES site and register. And our direct buy limits are not on a state master contract, and we can purchase up to $30,000. But if you are a small business, veteran, minority, or women-owned certified business, we can purchase up to $40,000. So that gives us $10,000 there that we could possibly be able to do business with a small business. The IFB, this assists us with identifying suppliers who can provide the goods and services we are needing. And if we go out for an RFQ, it's usually the lowest bid. The RFP is where we're requesting specifications that are required. And the RFQQ is qualifications, and quotes that are required. And in DOT, our strategic plan, the most important to us is the values for procurement is integrity. And we just want to make sure that we're ethical, accountable, and responsive and trustworthy. And so please reach out to our supply offices in the different areas and provide them with a list of the goods and services you offer. We don't keep a roster. And that way we can send your contact information out to the people that it would apply to. Next slide.
So one of the ways that if we can't do a direct buy due to the estimated dollar limit, we post all our solicitation for bids out on the Washington Electronic Business Solution that's known as WEBS. Any business can register, and you just need some basic information like company information, your federal employer identification number, your company address, phone, a contact information, and just a little bit of ownership information, like any certifications you've obtained through Washington State and the number of employees you have. All opportunities are based off of commodity codes and the geographic area that you select during registration. Any bid opportunities that meet your profile selections are emailed directly to your company via the information you provided on your profile. We do suggest that you review your profile annually to ensure that you are getting maximum communication for any potential solicitations. You are also able to search by other commodity codes and keywords that are not built within your profile. And this will increase your business exposure to WSDOT and increase your bid opportunities. All state agencies are required to utilize WEBS for solicitations that exceed the $30,000 or $40,000 direct buy limits for any products falling under the RCW 3926. And even some counties and cities utilize WEBS. DES also utilizes WEBS when posting their solicitations for potential state master contracts. So it's a really great resource for vendors to register with WEBS, because that really maximizes your exposure to what us as a state agency and other state agencies are looking for to meet our business needs. Next slide.
So some of our current and future needs, inventory fulfillment, which would compile like lumber, such as signposts, survey stakes, which we do not have a contract for. We have guardrail, safety supplies, hard hats, gloves, glasses, and masks. Fulfill consumable requests, which would be like our office supplies or testing, sample jars, boxes, our conference meals, and equipment rental. Seasonal items would be like litter pickup, pesticides, snow and ice products like sand, salt, de-icer, asphalt, and gravel. Annual needs our needs are budget driven, and like everyone else, this year has been a challenge. Our office is not a project driven. It is based mainly on consumables such as COVID PPEs right now. Urgent needs, this would be like an opportunity to purchase off contract to meet our business needs. An example would be if we were in the middle of fixing a pothole on the highway and we had taken a lane and our equipment, like our shovels broke and the spare one wasn't in the truck. There, you know, and there's a small local business across the street, we could go over there and purchase that so that we can complete our job efficiently. Emergency needs would be defined as safety to people and property. Like we had a landslide several years ago in the Nile Valley on State Route 410, a small local restaurant and mini mart, they extended their hours, hired temporary staff to accommodate all the workers up there. And this may be an opportunity for product, safety gear, machine rentals, and food needs for the local community, as they were very key in providing assistance immediately. Next slide.
To summarize, to maximize business with WSDOT in our regions, it's essential to register within WEBS. Review your WEBS profile annually, specifically looking at your commodity codes you selected and the counties that your business is able to do business with WSDOT in. Even if you're located in the Tri-Cities, if you're able to do business in Grays Harbor or anywhere like that, select those counties, because sometimes that could be a matter of getting a bid notification or not, is what counties are you willing to do business in? Also partner with your regional supply officers, like Rita stated. Share your product and information with those procurement offices within the region, because we do communicate that information out to the pertinent groups within the region. They may not have a need now, but there may be a situation that comes up that's either urgent or emergent, that they need to go back and find your information and to utilize that. Also attend as many outreaches as you can, like this one, whether it's virtual or once COVID is lifted, go to those live outreaches and meet your regional suppliers. This has a really great impact, and we get in front of you. We can ask questions, you can ask questions to us, and it really becomes a partnership. And then also certify as an OMWBE business. This is really important to us to support the community and our local businesses. And by certifying, it really helps identify you as a business that we want to do business with. So thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Brian White. I'm with the South Central Region. Next slide, please. This just has my title on it. Next slide. So currently we're working on the I-9. I'm going to give a region overview of all our projects, some that are under construction and some that are going out for advertisement. All the work that I do goes out to bid for contractors to bid on. We also use consultant services to help us with different phases of the design. Currently, our consultant is Jacob Engineering, and they're always looking for sub-consultants as well to help us with our needs. So this is just an overview. The I-90 Sequoia Pass East project. If you travel over to Seattle, you probably drove through our project, and hopefully you weren't delayed. We've completed the first 3 phases of the corridor, and now we're working on the next 3 phases Currently have one project under construction right now. Next slide, please. This is a project currently under construction. This is building a detour route up Easton Hill. Selling Construction has a $14 million contract. They hope to complete their project next year. Next slide. We're also partnering with the Forest Service to do a lot of planting along the corridor. This is on top of the wildlife overcrossing where they're doing some planting currently, and they'll be up there next year doing planting as well. Next slide, please.
And Brian, if you could speak up, we can hear you when you speak up, but sometimes you get a little quiet. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. And please, if I start fading out again, please let me know. We have another project on I-82 on the Yakima corridor improvements. Next slide. Next slide, please. This is just an overview of the area. This is a project between the city, the county, and the state. The city's looking at making some road improvements in the mill site there that's been abandoned. And then the county is looking at punching a new road across the river there, and will be constructing a bridge. Their projects are slated to start later this year to go out for advertisement. Our project will not start for a couple more years. Next slide, please. And this is just kind of a design, artist representation of what those improvements can look like. So you can see it's a lot of work, a lot of earthwork and bridge construction. Next slide, please. Our next project I was going to is our US 97 Corridor Safety Improvements Project. This is down on the Yakima Nation and consists of 8 roundabouts to be constructed over multiple years. Next slide. And this is the first roundabout that we plan on constructing. This is at the McDonald Road and US 97 near the casino. And this project is approximately, that's my note here, $4 million. And we hope to have that project out for advertisement in April of this year. Next slide. This is down on SR 223 again within the Yakima Nation. Next slide. And this is a railroad crossing, kind of a small contract to replace the signals at this crossing. This work is being done by Northwest Electric, and it's about $300,000 and should be completed shortly. Next slide. Our next project is down SR 241 near Mapton. Next slide, please. And this is the Mapton Bridge project. This will be out for advertisement later this year in October. If all goes according to plan. It's approximately a $14 million job that will retrofit the bridge that's shown right here across the Yakima River, and we'll build a new bridge across the slough, which is not shown here. So it's a pretty good project. Next slide. And this is the slough bridge that will be replaced. So, so that work will be out later this year in October. Next slide, please. One project that's getting ready to get started is the US 395 Ridgeline Drive project, which is a project between the city and state to reconstruct an interchange. Excuse me. Next slide, please. Here's an artist representation of what the final project will look like. This project was awarded to Scarcella, and it's about a $12 million project, and they're hopefully going to get started here shortly as well as announced. Next slide, please. This is the SR 240 Aaron Drive project, and this is a project for the future that the city of Richland's working on. Next slide, please. But as you can see, they're looking at constructing a roundabout on our system. We're in the early phases with the city of Richland and the planning phases, looking at what the options are in this area to address the congestion for this project. So actual product may vary. It's a polite way to put it, but we're in the planning phase right now, just looking at the different options. And so this will be a project in the future. Next slide, please. This is the US 12 corridor improvement project. We've been making, and as you can see by the note, phase 7. So we've already constructed 6 phases of this corridor between Burbank and Walla Walla. And this one is in the Loudon Touchy area. It's a design build project. This is a type of contracting we do where we develop 30% design and then put it out for advertisement for a contractor and consultant to get together and complete the design and construction on that work. Atkinson Construction was awarded this project, and they are currently gearing up to start the dirt work, finishing up the design work, which was by Skillings, and we're looking forward to that work getting done. Next phase, please. Next slide, please. So we're going to end our little tour through the region here in Walla Walla. Next slide, please. And this is a roundabout that will be constructed later this year. This contract was awarded to Marino and Nelson. It's about $5.7 million to build a roundabout on SR 125 near the fairgrounds there in Walla Walla. Next slide, please. There's my contact information. Please feel free to give me a call if you have any questions about these projects or future projects. I'm happy to discuss them with anyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you all of you for those different chapters, if you will, based on what your area of expertise is and different things that people might want to know. We've got a pretty diverse group of people and businesses that are a part of our webinar today. So I think they got a very good, diverse, really a picture of what is coming up, what your plans are, and how to get involved. We do have a couple of questions that have come up from attendees. And then I'll follow up with a couple based on what others want to do. You can raise your hand if you have a question as well. I'm gonna start with one from Mr. Khan, came in. How do we contact buyers for machinery, machines and fabrication? I don't know if Jenna or one of you'd like to answer that, clarify for them.
I would say if it's related to equipment, like our snow machines, tractors, and automotive, the how to do business with WSDOT brochure that I'm going to share with Tiffany so she can send it out, we'll have an automotive and goods and services contact. His name is Greg Hansen, and he would be the correct person to reach out to, because our automotive goods and services handles maintenance and any modifications for our heavy machinery.
Okay, thank you. And I know on your website where you listed there are different categories where it's user friendly, I believe, where they could go in and click. And it says, I believe one of them said, do you have something to sell to WSDOT? Yep. One of those that you click on that tab and it would take them to more information to clarify what the next steps are.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Renee. There's another question that came in, and I believe Diane answered it live. I wanted to ask if the attendee was anonymous. I'm not sure who it was, but they were talking about proposed changes to DOT's rules on small business participation, when it might potentially be implemented. And Diane had answered that. Diane, do you want to follow up in case others haven't seen that and may have a similar question?
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, the veteran enforceable goals and small business goals is something very new to WSDOT. Again, it's moving into the second tier of our roadmap. But what's going on now is that everything is sort of under contract with our legal team. So we're hoping that May, WSDOT will begin setting those enforceable veteran-owned and small business goals. We do know that you need to be registered in WEBS as a veteran-owned business, and be sure to share your information within that system so that the contractors can find you. We are doing also a marketing blast to veterans. Yolanda and I have been doing that to ensure that they have the updated information that they need. Sorry, I didn't turn my camera on. But yeah, we are definitely ramping up towards that. Again, still under consideration with legal terms within the contracts that we have, but it is coming for sure. So again, as Rachel said, keep checking in with presentations that WSDOT does have, because we'll be sharing this information as we go along. So that is what we know, and we will share when we know. Hope that helps.
Thank you. And again, that's where it comes in handy to have a list of contacts for specific areas of expertise. Obviously, the presenters have been just so wonderful to say, feel free, contact us. We can find answers, because as much as we try to have everything available in writing through the websites and our webinars and the trainings like this, there will always be questions, and there are always people that are willing to help the small businesses. We want to help you succeed. If you're not sure who to reach out to, contact me. I'll do my homework. I'll find out and do an introduction to the individual we think might be the best match for you. So thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Certainly. I may have misunderstood Mr. Khan's question. So he clarified for us, interested in machining, not machinery. Is that something someone could respond to? If there's something specific that they have to offer, would they reach out to someone in particular to clarify what he has to offer and see who to speak with? Because machining, I think he's referring to actually the creation of, whether it be a steel product or piping or something that they create. And Mr. Khan, if you're there, I don't know if we can unmute attendees. I'd ask Tiffany that, or if I just put that out and see if someone can answer that one for us. Machining versus machinery.
Well, I would say if he could contact our supply office and let us know, and then let us know what counties he works in, and then we can send that to our special crews and our maintenance offices. And that way they can, if they need something, they can definitely contact him. It's great to have those local businesses like that, because a lot of times if we do need something, it's usually fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So if he would just send that to me, that would be great. And you're going to be sending out our information. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And Rita, would he contact you, maybe follow up with a capability statement or product
Yes,
service code, something?
That would be fabulous. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I'll pass that along to him following this. So Mr. Khan, we'll take care of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I will send that over. Her information is on the slide deck, and I will send the slide deck out to you as well, so you have that as a reference. Let me see. I didn't see any other specific questions there yet. So Tiffany did have a question that if vendors are interested in marketing to other local buyers in different regions, what's the best way to go about that? How would they do that with you?
I would say for the goods and services, the brochure actually breaks out the main contact for each region, and they could reach out directly to those contacts and share their business information at any time.
Okay. Again, it's an open door policy to get information to people, and they are willing to share it with those that it's really the best match for you to get the answers for you. Thank you, Renee. We've got another one. Does DOT look for electrical engineering contracts or subcontracts, particularly in the field of power? And if so, who do we get in touch with for that? Anyone have a specific answer for power related, electrical engineering contracts or subs, especially in the field of power for DOT?
I guess I'll take a shot at that one.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, so we do some electrical contracting work like that signal that I showed earlier. And usually that's handled internally within our traffic office, but sometimes they do reach out for some on-call consulting to get some people that are specifically have the experience working with electrical systems. And so that's on our webpage for consultant services.
Okay.
We just don't have a lot of electrical, at least on this side of the mountain. Now in the Seattle area, there might be more issues with tunnels and things where they do need more power, but pretty much, we have luminaires that have been installing for years. And so we don't have a big need, at least in our region, for electrical engineers.
Mhm.
I hope that helps the question, but again, please feel free to contact me if you want to get more specific on what services you want to provide.
Great. And thank you. We have added in the link for consulting services, so attendees can check that. And if they still have questions, just contact the individual that is connected with that to get some clarification. Another one, Julie asked, to what extent does Washington DOT use the DES master contracts for goods and services purchases? Are they given preference over direct buy? And if you use DES masters, do your buyers try to use the DES master contracts that have small business participation?
I can speak to that. So it is required for us by law to utilize the state master contracts first. And DES does also support the small minority-owned businesses, and they do try to obtain bidders that are within those parameters, so that when they do award a master contract, we as state agencies have options to use those businesses. If a state master contract does not meet the agency needs, then we can choose to go out for bid if it is over the direct buy limit. If it is under the direct buy limit, we can partner with any vendor that will meet our needs.
Because it really depends on the situation and what your response rate is. Is that correct?
Yes, it does. The good thing is DES is also as transparent as we are with wanting to do business with our communities. And so anybody can go onto the des.wa.gov and click in the top right corner, contracts, and they can see any contract that is currently active. They can see when the contract started and when the contract ends and who the contract specialist is for that contract. And they can also reach out to that contract specialist and ask, when is that contract going to be rebid? So then the vendors can be watching webs to know when to bid on those state master contracts.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Nice to know there's some flexibility depending on what's happening. Because it becomes, instead of an idea and a need to a more emergent need to maybe an urgent need if you haven't heard something. So those doors can open depending on what the situation is.
They can, and DES is really great to work with. They really allow the agency some flexibility because each agency is so unique in what they need. And they understand specifically, we have the safety of the community that we need to take in consideration. And sometimes master contracts just don't meet those needs. And we really have to look out for this and the communities and correct whatever needs to be corrected in the time that's required. Sometimes we have a week or two to address an issue. Sometimes we need to address it, immediately within that day or a few days. And so having flexibility is great.
And thanks for mentioning the safety. One of the things I noticed when I look at the upcoming projects, I've worked throughout this region for years, and I know some intersections like the one in Walla Walla, the one in Ridgeline where the highway comes in. There are some major safety issues that you're trying to address, and were you in the midst of that project and things happening rapidly, and then something happens, there's some mix up or a product can't get there in time, you need someone else to address that and help to meet those needs. So I think safety is very highly regarded and mandatory. And another good reason that those that are interested in working with DOT must be prepared to handle those emergent situations and fulfill those needs with the highest level of integrity, no questions asked. Another question, how many master contracts are there, if we know? In a specific category, is only one company chosen, or are there multiple vendors for a master contract? Can anyone clarify that for us?
So DES has over 200 master contracts, but some of them don't necessarily apply for WSDOT. Some of them go for other agencies like Department of Health or State Patrol. So they're not all pertain to DOT. And so that's what gives us the ability to do our own contracts if DES doesn't have a master contract.
Mhm.
There's another part to the question that I didn't catch.
Is there specifically one company that might be chosen, or are there multiple vendors for a specific master contract?
So that also varies depending on the contract and how it's written. Most of the time, the master contracts are awarded to multiple vendors. Again, with the focus of trying to get at least one or more small minority-owned businesses awarded. But also there's some contracts like our IT contract services that they can continuously add vendors as vendors apply or contact that contract specialist and meet the requirements of the contract. So it really depends on the contract, but most of them do have a multi-vendor award with them.
Mhm.
So because we just don't know the effect, we can have a very small purchase that we need that comes up, or we can have a very large, and we need that flexibility, and not all companies are able to provide a level of service. If we have a large service, a small business may not be able to do that. So partnering with multiple businesses within a contract may be ideal.
Mhm. Yeah, that brings to mind one question. Sometimes people that are working as a sub might hear from someone on the team that there's a need and they need it now, or they want them to change something a little bit. Do they listen to that individual, or do they only report to the CO?
I think that would depend on the situation.
Mhm.
So I do have most of our purchases, we work directly with a supplier, and we don't have a lot of subs. That's usually for the other portions of WSDOT.
Mhm.
But we do have some, like our master contract for Granger. We did have a small business that was not part of the contract, and it was going to be enough money that we would have to go out for bid. But instead, we partnered with Granger to see if they could partner with that sub to provide us the hearing protection we needed. And it was a successful win. And now our maintenance areas are able to buy via Granger through that sub or to that sub. And so we're always looking at innovative ways to be able to support the businesses.
Good. And like you say, those emergent situations come up, something you may not have considered at the beginning when you put a proposal out, but as you move through the project, some other things may come up that can open some doors, as long as you report to the proper person and do what you can to help, right?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you. Anyone want to share with me, what are some of the biggest mistakes small businesses might make when they're wanting to work with DOT and maybe they don't answer things right, they don't provide information they need? What would you say are the top two things that keep a business from being successful?
I would say in our situation, we don't deal with it a whole lot, but it's time frame. Because usually if we're going out, it's not something that's on contract and we're going out, we do consumables. And so usually it's something that has to be done within a very short time period. And so sometimes a small business can't meet our needs because they can't get it to us within a couple of days. I would say that's the biggest thing. As far as a second, I don't really have anything. We love dealing with small business if we can. So
great, thank you. And we have just a couple of minutes left. I'm going to throw it out. Does anyone else have any other specific questions? And if not, do any of the representatives from DOT want to share just a final comment on suggestion for how our small businesses might be successful in working with you in the coming years?
I would say for small businesses, just continue to contact us as you expand your products or your services and update those lines. Send us an updated folder, come out and come out and meet us, or contact us via phone. It's just important to have that contact, every 6 months or a year, reach out to us. Our business is continuously changing. Materials are changing, goals are changing, financing's changing. And so we're always having to look at priorities, and our priorities may shift that, at one point we may not have needed your goods and service, and now we do. And even market is tough right now. There's a lot of shortages going on with COVID, where our primary suppliers aren't able to provide the product, and we are having to look at other places for these solutions. So yeah, I would just say just communication is key. Find those right contacts, look at your capabilities. Are you able to service areas outside your initial county? And just to, expand and communicate. That's the best I can.
Thank you. And I think that's just a great way to remind everybody right now. Alliance Northwest is next week. We have trainings to help you understand how to get involved. DOT is going to be there. It's another way to utilize those outreach events to contact people face-to-face virtually in this year from across the miles, ask questions, get answers, and open doors. That's what we want to see happen. So we are at the time to finish up. I'd like to extend my gratitude to everyone involved in bringing this to our clients and our partners, to Yolanda for helping us to piece this together and have her team so well prepared with this slide deck, which I will share with all attendees. If anyone has any further questions or needs or ideas or unique opportunities to share with DOT, please reach out to me and I will get you in contact with the appropriate people. And with that, I will say thank you to everyone. I wish everyone a wonderful day. We'll have this recorded. We will have it posted for you. And everybody stay happy and healthy. And let's all go out and succeed. Thank you so very much for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jody. Thanks, everybody at DOT. That was fantastic.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Yolanda.
Thank you, guys.
I owe you, girl. Have a great day.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Thanks.